Another conduct is what we call price discrimination. For example, if you record that we have this textbooks, and the textbooks will have two versions, the hard cover version and the soft cover version. It's not just a textbook, but any novel would have the same characteristics as well. And hardcover would be more expensive than the soft covers. Or if you look at this international version of textbook and the domestic version of textbook, usually international versions is much cheaper. Or you look at the airfares when you purchase a ticket for the flight. There are different classes, right? You have first class, business class, and economy class. Is it true that they are different in terms of the services, or difference in terms of the comfortable level, convenience level that you would get from the seats, from the service? But also the price are so different as well. And most of the times it is quite difficult to argue that you have to charge like 3 or 4 times the price in order to improve that level of quality. But that is something that unmeasurable. But to a certain extent, you know that if you charge a greater price for the business or the first class, a certain group of people who has greater level of purchasing power or willingness to pay would self-select themselves to buy these tiers. And now you make it more granular in the sense of it is not just business, first class business and economy. Now you have sort of something in between called a premium economy as well. So the more granular you can, the more income you will be able to acquire. Because for those who are unable to afford for the business class previously, they have to choose the economy, right? But actually they are somewhere in the middle. If you can launch this another layer, which is called a premium economy, slightly better than economy, but also worse than business, then they should be willing to select themselves and choose to purchase premium economy, and you get more margin from that. Okay, so there are 3 types of price discrimination. The first one is what we call the first degree price discrimination. This is the ideal case where you set the price as a function of identity, who that person is, and also the amount. Okay, so you know all's willingness to pay, and you will charge accordingly. The clearest example to me in this case is this. Let's look at the demand curve. Okay, the simple demand curve. We have this downward slope demand curve, which basically means that the greater the price, the less quantity of demand there is in the market. So what does it mean by that? What does it mean by having this negative slope demand curve? Say that, okay, start from the level where there's no person is willing to buy. Say that this level of price is like 100. Okay, let's say this is like £100 for an instant noodle. Okay, a package of instant noodle. Nobody's willing to buy it because this is too expensive to buy just one pack of instant noodle. Okay, but suppose that the price is like 90, right? The price is 90. I can say that there is actually, say, one person who is willing to buy it, a billionaire, who find that this £100 is just normal, it's fine. So I know this person called Mr. A, right? Mr. A. And at the level of, say, 80, I know that there's another billionaire who is, well, less wealthy when you compare to Mr. A, but quite still a very rich person. Okay, so now the quantity of demand will become 2, and let's call this Mr. B. Mr. B is also a very wealthy person as well, who's willing to purchase this one pack of instant noodle at £80. You see, right, that actually the demand curve is formed in this particular way. And at 80, definitely Mr. A is willing to buy, because he was actually happy to buy at 90, and if the price is 80, then he definitely would like to buy it, because this is like £10 cheaper than the price that he was willing to pay. And you would have more and more customers, right? In the situation where you have this market price, it basically means that you would have a certain level of quantity that you would provide to the market, right? Let's say you have 5. All right, let's say that you have 5 customers who are willing to buy that, and this level is determined somehow, but usually it's determined where the supply matches the demand. But let's ignore that fact for now. And this, let's say this is a market price of like 60. Okay, this is a market price of 60. In the usual situation, if this is the market price, 60, it means that you will see on the shelf, the shelf price of this instant noodle, it must be really good, it's just £60. Okay, this is the shelf price, the market price of this instant noodle. And what we call consumer welfare, consumer surplus, as we discussed earlier, that is one of the purpose of the competition law. It says that instead of paying 90, which Mr. A is willing to pay, the market price is just 60, so Mr. A enjoy the benefit of paying £30 less than the level that he is willing to pay. And that is a bit of consumer surplus, right? Also, for Mr. B, he is actually willing to pay at 80, but because the market price is just 60, Mr. B is enjoying the benefit of like £20, which is another bit of consumer surplus. And this is a situation where if you sum all of these surplus, you would get to consumer surplus. And this is the reason why you want to push the price down to a certain level, in order to ensure the consumer surplus is high enough, right? Okay, so the first degree price discrimination is this case. Is this the case where suppose that you are a producer of this instant noodle, of an instant noodle, right? So if you're a producer of the instant noodle, and you somehow can figure out Mr. A, you can figure out Mr. B, and you know what the willingness to pay level of Mr. A is, which is £90, and what is the willingness to pay of Mr. B, which is £80. And then what you do is you sell Mr. A 90. You charge Mr. A 90, and you charge Mr. B 80. And you do that to all customers. This is the first degree price discrimination. Well, the second case is the second degree price discrimination. Now you don't care the identity, but what you care is the amount of purchase. Okay, and that is a self-select price discrimination in the sense that you know that the one who is willing to pay more, you wanna give more discount, and the one who purchase less, you wanna give less discount, right? So what you do is you set up some sort of like say this quantity discount, or sometimes we call it two-tier tariff, that you charge different groups of people different tariffs or different level of prices, in the sense that, okay, if you buy more I will give you even greater discount. Like if you buy 2, you get 2% discount. You buy 3, I give you 5% discount. If you buy 4, I give you 10% discount. So that is the second degree price discrimination. And the third is the third degree price discrimination. So now you don't care about the amount. What you care is you care about identity, which basically means you want to know who that purchaser is. And you know that people have sort of different observable characteristics, right? For example, it is very easy that you would distinguish between adult and kids. And you know that in most cases, adult has more willingness to pay, more purchasing power because they have income, but kids don't. So you want to charge these price differently, right? Or you look at the elderly, and you know that the elderly would have less income or they are on their pension. So you wanted to charge, you don't want to charge that high prices for the elderly, but you want to charge greater price for the working aged group of people. So in this case, what you would do is probably you give the student and senior discount. And this is something that you might be familiar with when you go to some sort of museums or go to aquarium or cinema. These places know that people of different groups, different characteristics that are observable. You're old, you are young, or you are working age. So in that sense, you're going to give discount to the group of people who are less able to pay for your tickets. And you're going to charge the normal price to those who are able to afford. But the key word of price discrimination is that it has to be done with a sound reason for the business operator not to be held liable for this price discrimination conduct. And this is the reason why we see so many real-world examples of price discrimination, because this is actually acceptable. The one who is more willing to pay should be able to pay a greater price. But this is down to the principle of proportionality, that you are not putting too much burden on a certain group of people in order to recruit more consumers. And when you get more consumers, then that is possible that you might abuse another group of consumers eventually by having this sort of price discrimination structure at the very beginning. So this is something to be careful.